Cabinet approves a national recruitment agency for conducting a common test for screening candidates for jobs in public sector banks and non-gazetted Group B or Group C posts in the central government. Prime Minister Narendra Modi says it will be a boon for the youth and also boost transparency. Cabinet also approves a fair sugarcane price that sugar mills will pay farmers for the 2020-21 season. Jaipur, Guwahati and Thiruvananthapuram airports to be leased out through a public-private partnership. Also okays a one-time relaxation in working capital limit norm for discoms under the Ujjwal Discom Assurance Yojana. India scales a new peak in daily testing. Over 9 lakh COVID-19 tests conducted in the last 24 hours. Positivity rate comes down below 8%. Worldwide, COVID-19 cases rise to over 2 crore 25 lakhs with over 7 lakh 90,000 deaths. Flood situation remains grim in Bihar. About 81 lakh people across 16 districts affected. Delhi NCR regions record intense spell of rain for the last 24 hours. Many roads and underpasses waterlogged. US President Donald Trump expresses the intent to snap back Iran sanctions. Secretary of State Mike Pompeo to travel to New York today. US accuses Iran of significant non-compliance with the 2015 nuclear deal. In sports, Bayern Munich continue their relentless march in the UEFA Champions League to book a 11th appearance in the final of the competition. Sets up a mouth-watering summit clash against French club PSG. They beat French underdogs Lyon in the semi-finals. Roland Koeman unveiled as Barcelona manager on a 2-year deal. The Spanish club's former player succeeds sacked Setién with a dramatic shake-up of their squad to follow. Good morning. Welcome to English News this Thursday morning. I am Anil Thomas. Now for the stories in detail. India will soon get a national recruitment agency. The cabinet on Wednesday okayed the setting up of a new agency for conducting a common examination for non-gazetted Group B and Group C jobs in the central government. Why is the National Recruitment Agency a radical and revolutionary idea? How is it a game changer? What is the common eligibility test all about? All this and lot more in this report.
Recruitment Agency announced. This historic decision paves the way for a transformational reform in the recruitment process for central government jobs.
This is going to bring in ease of selection, ease of recruitment, and thereby also ease of living for the aspirant candidates, particularly the youth. See, let's not forget that in India, in the government of sector, we have as many as at least 20 recruitment agencies. They keep conducting their selection processes from time to time at different times of the year. And therefore, it may not be easily feasible for each candidate to appear in each of these tests.
It is a path-breaking reform as it uses technology to eradicate malpractices. It reduces the recruitment cycle. The NRA will conduct mock tests for the rural youth, and it will have a 24/7 helpline and grievance redressal portal.
The idea of having a common eligibility test, as we have conceived and as we named it CET, would in the beginning include 3 recruitment agencies, namely the Staff Selection Commission, the SSC, the Railway Recruitment Board, the RRB, and the banking sector. And this would be a preliminary test. So the advantage is that instead of appearing at multiple places, the multiplicity of tests and the multiplicity of centers, a candidate would have the freedom to appear in a single test, and if he makes it through that preliminary examination, his eligibility for the next phase of selection in that given sector would remain alive for 3 years.
On an average, 2.5 crore to 3 crore candidates apply for these examinations. The NRA will screen or shortlist candidates for non-technical posts of groups B and C of the central government. A special focus on creating examination infrastructure in the 117 aspirational districts would go a long way in affording access to candidates at a place nearer to where they live. Taking job opportunities closer to the people is a radical step that would greatly enhance ease of living for the youth. The location of a test center in every district would greatly benefit candidates from rural areas in general and women in particular. Under the NRA, the candidates will appear in only one examination but will get an opportunity to compete for multiple posts. The CET score would be valid for 3 years from the date of declaration of the result. The best of the valid scores shall be deemed to be the current score of the candidate. Based on the screening done by the NRA, final selection for recruitment shall be made through separate specialized second and third tiers of examination, which shall be conducted by the respective recruitment agencies. That is not all. A single eligibility test would significantly reduce the recruitment cycle. Bureau Report, DD India.
Well, setting up of a national recruitment agency was just one of the many decisions taken by the Union Cabinet. The next report gives you a lowdown of all the other major cabinet decisions taken. Let's take a look.
In a landmark decision that is going to benefit nearly 1 crore sugarcane farmers in the country, the Cabinet Committee on Economic Affairs has approved the Fair and Remunerative Price or FRP of sugarcane payable by sugar mills for 2020-21 sugar season. Based on the recommendations of the Commission for Agricultural Costs and Prices, FRP has been fixed at 285 rupees per quintal for a basic recovery rate of 10%.
10 रुपए बढ़ाने से किसानों को फायदा तो होगा भाई, एक क्विंटल पे 10 रुपए बढ़ेंगे, 10 क्विंटल पे 100 रुपए होंगे, किसान को फायदा बढ़ेगा, पैसे ज़्यादा मिलेंगे। पहले पर्ची पे कम पैसे मिलते थे, अब ज़्यादा मिलेंगे पर्ची पे क्विंटल के हिसाब से, तो किसानों को फायदा होगा।
A premium of 2.85 rupees per quintal will be paid for every 0.1% increase above 10% in the recovery. FRP will be reduced by 2.85 rupees per quintal for every 0.1 percentage point decrease in recovery. This applies to those mills whose recovery is below 10% but above 9.5%. However, for mills having recovery of 9.5% or below, the FRP is fixed at 270.75 rupees per quintal.
1 करोड़ गन्ना किसानों के लिए इस साल भी परंपरा के अनुसार जो फेयर एंड रेम्यूनरेटिव प्राइसेस है, लाभकारी मूल्य बढ़ाकर दिया है। अब 285 रुपए पर क्विंटल यानी 2850 रुपए एक टन का दाम निश्चित हुआ है और 1% अगर रिकवरी बढ़ेगी, 10% रिकवरी के आधार पर यह है, लेकिन अगर 11% रिकवरी होती है तो 28 रुपए 50 पैसे ज्यादा मिलेंगे पर क्विंटल।
The Union Cabinet has also approved a proposal for leasing out 3 airports, namely Jaipur, Guwahati and Thiruvananthapuram under Airports Authority of India through Public-Private Partnership or PPP mode. These 3 AAI airports will be leased out for operation, management and development to MS Adani Enterprises Limited, which is declared as successful bidder in global competitive bidding for a period of 50 years. The move is expected to bring efficiency in service delivery, expertise, enterprise and professionalism apart from harnessing the needed investments in the public sector.
6 एयरपोर्ट का ऑपरेशन, मैनेजमेंट एंड डेवलपमेंट का कॉन्ट्रैक्ट प्राइवेट प्लेयर्स को देने का लिए ऑक्शन हुआ, टेंडर मांगा गया था और सबसे ज्यादा बोली होने वाले को 3 एयरपोर्ट देने का, लीज देने का आज फैसला हुआ, जयपुर, गुवाहाटी और तिरुवनंतपुरम। एयरपोर्ट अथॉरिटी ऑफ इंडिया ये परमानेंट प्राइवेट को नहीं दे रहा है, ये 50 साल वो चलाने के बाद फिर से एयरपोर्ट ऑफ इंडिया को ये एयरपोर्ट्स वापस मिलेंगे।
In a decision aimed at energizing the power sector, the CCEA has approved a one-time relaxation to Power Finance Corporation and Rural Electrification Corporation for extending loans to distribution companies above limits of working capital cap of 25% of last year's revenues under Ujjwal Discom Assurance Yojana, or UDAY. One-time relaxation would help in providing liquidity to the power sector and ensure payments by state governments to discoms. Those decisions of the Union Cabinet will give a new momentum to the post-COVID economy and would benefit the country at large. With Bureau Inputs, Arun Sharma's report for DD India.
Early identification through testing, surveillance and contact tracing, along with focus on timely and appropriate clinical treatment of COVID-19 patients, have ensured that only a small proportion of active cases are on ventilator support. India scales a new peak in daily testing. More than 9 lakh COVID-19 tests have been conducted in the last 24 hours. The positivity rate has also come down below 8%. Well, now talking about the worst affected states in India with the COVID-19 pandemic, Maharashtra remains the worst affected state from the deadly COVID-19 virus in the country. 13,165 cases were reported from Maharashtra in the last 24 hours. Besides, 9,011 patients were discharged from hospitals on Wednesday. Currently, there are a total of 1,60,413 active patients in the state of Maharashtra. Moving down south to Karnataka, where 8,642 persons tested positive for COVID-19 on Wednesday. As per the daily official bulletin, 126 deaths were reported in the last 24 hours, while 7,201 patients were discharged from hospitals on Wednesday. The total number of active cases in the state of Karnataka currently stand at 81,097. Moving further south to Tamil Nadu, where 5,795 persons tested positive for COVID-19 on Wednesday. 116 deaths were reported, while 6,384 patients were discharged in the last 24 hours. Up to the north and the national capital Delhi, where 1,398 new coronavirus cases were reported in the last 24 hours, taking the active tally of active cases in Delhi to 11,137. Of the patients that have been cured and discharged in the last 24 hours, 1,320 were reported, while 9 people lost their lives in the national capital. Staying with Delhi, hotels in the national capital were allowed to reopen, while gymnasiums will continue to remain closed amid the ongoing COVID-19 crisis. The decision was taken in the Delhi Disaster Management Authority meeting chaired by Lieutenant Governor Anil Bejal. As per the protocols of the Ministry of Health and Family Welfare, hotels will be permitted to open. They have already been dealing from the hospitals. Taking a cautious view, gymnasiums are not being allowed to open for now, as it is felt it would be difficult to ensure compliance and monitoring of social distancing norms. One weekly market per day per zone in the municipal corporation and local bodies is allowed to open on a trial basis for a week. Banquet halls have been dealing from the hospitals given the present availability of beds in hospitals. As far as enhancing the capacity of passengers in DTC buses, the present limit of 20 passengers will be continued for now. Taking a quick look at the flood update from the state of Bihar, there is no let-up in the flood fury in Bihar. Over 81 lakh people across 16 districts are still facing the deluge. River Ganga has started rising all along its course in the state of Bihar. The river is flowing 12 centimeters above the danger mark at Gandhi Ghat in Patna. Moderate rainfall has occurred in the catchment areas of the river Gandak during the past 24 hours. This has caused heavy discharge from the Gandak barrage in Valmiki Nagar. According to the Water Resources Department, over 1,86,000 cubic of water from a discharge from the barrage on Wednesday. Around 1.8 lakh cubic water was released from the Bansagar Dam in Madhya Pradesh on Wednesday. It will have an impact on the Ganga in Bihar after 5 days. Keeping this in view, an alert has been sounded in the Rohtas district. As per the State Disaster Management Department, the rescue and relief work is going on in full swing in the flood-affected areas. However, the number of relief camps and community kitchens are reduced as water has receded from certain areas. Gratia relief of over 543 crore rupees have been given to over 9 lakh families at the rate of 6,000 rupees to each flood-affected family. Meanwhile, the Met Department has predicted light to moderate rainfall in Bihar for the next few days. Moving to Kerala, the death toll in the massive landslide in the Idukki district has risen to 62, with one more body of a 9-year-old boy recovered on Wednesday. A massive landslide crushed a settlement of tea estate workers in Munnar in Idukki in Kerala on August 7th. Search operations will continue till the last body is recovered. Meanwhile, Tamil Nadu Chief Minister Edappadi Palaniswamy has announced an ex gratia amount of 3 lakh rupees to each of the kin of those who were deceased in the Rajamala landslide. He also announced financial assistance of 1 lakh rupees each for the severely injured. Heading back to the national capital, where medium to heavy rains continue to lash parts of Delhi and the NCR since Wednesday. Most of the roads across the region are waterlogged, giving a hard time to early morning commuters. Disruption of traffic flow is likely due to some roads being flooded or closed and waterlogging in low-lying areas, streets and roads. Residents of Delhi and NCR witnessed a rough time on Wednesday due to the submerged underpasses, waist-deep water on roads, fallen trees and electricity poles. As per IMD, widespread heavy rains are expected to continue over different parts of northwest India, including the western Himalayan region and central India. This is mainly because the monsoon trough is located close to Delhi. Strong moisture-laden winds blowing from the Arabian Sea are bringing heavy rains to the region. India and China will be holding the 18th meeting of the Working Mechanism for Consultation and Coordination on India-China Border Affairs today. Sources said that the joint secretary-level meeting will be discussing various aspects of the ongoing strain between the two sides along the LAC. Last such meeting was held on the 24th of July when the two sides had agreed that early and complete disengagement of the troops along the line of actual control and de-escalation from the India-China border areas in accordance with the bilateral agreement and protocols and full restoration of peace and tranquility was essential for the smooth overall development of bilateral relations. Prime Minister Narendra Modi has paid tributes to former Prime Minister Rajiv Gandhi on his birth anniversary. Well, let's now take a look at the updates on COVID-19. Well, let's just go through that particular tweet that the Prime Minister on Rajiv Gandhi's birth anniversary. On his birth anniversary, tributes to former Prime Minister Rajiv Gandhi ji. Well, time now to take a look at updates on COVID-19 from across the world. Over 2.25 lakh coronavirus cases have been registered globally, with more than 7,89,000 deaths related to COVID-19. As many as 1.53 lakh people have recovered from the virus so far. COVID-19 cases have been shooting up in the United States, making it the worst hit by the pandemic for several weeks now. Over 56,99,000 cases of the virus being reported in USA, while the death toll now passed the 1,76,000 mark. United States is followed by Brazil, which has recorded more than 1,11,000 deaths with over 34,60,000 cases. Talking in terms of death toll, worldwide, United States and Brazil are followed by Mexico, with the death toll surging past 57,700. The New York University is all set to welcome back students to its Manhattan campus, but as per the university's coronavirus safety plan, the scholars are required to get tested for the virus upon arrival. A mix of international students have been chosen in-person learning, with classes for undergraduates beginning on September 2nd. The university in downtown Manhattan is also giving students the options of remote learning or a blended program between the two. Those coming from state-designated coronavirus hotspots are arriving this week, which is 2 weeks earlier than usual, to allow time for their mandatory 14-day quarantine. The New York City has more than 4,57,000 cases of coronavirus with over 32,000 deaths. United States stands in the first position with over 57 lakh cases and more than 1,76,000 deaths. Spain, meanwhile, announced new measures to slow the spread of COVID-19. Government has issued orders to ban outdoor smoking and has imposed night restrictions. Government has already issued orders on gathering of more than 10 people, while all restaurants are ordered to close by midnight. Meanwhile, Madrid, Catalonia and the Basque Country have launched massive screening programs in a bid to identify and isolate asymptomatic carriers of the virus. On Wednesday, 127 more deaths were reported, which was the highest daily number since the lockdown ended in June. Spain has registered 3,87,000 COVID-19 cases, with the death toll now more than 28,000. United States will demand that all United Nations sanctions be reimposed against Iran. President Donald Trump announced this. Secretary of State Mike Pompeo will travel to New York today to present the U.S. demand accusing Iran of significant non-compliance with the 2015 nuclear deal.
I imposed the toughest ever sanctions on Iran, and this has caused great difficulty for them, giving money to terrorist organizations, and if they do, they'll have hell to pay. Today, I'm directing the Secretary of State, Mike Pompeo, to notify the UN Security Council that the United States intends to restore virtually all of the previously suspended United Nations sanctions on Iran. It's a snapback.
Well, that's all we have time for in this edition of news. Thanks for watching.